Good afternoon. I'm Diana Bailey. I'm the Executive Director of the Maryland Women's Heritage Center, and I'm thrilled today to be talking with Jill Teachin, and she's the CEO of the National Women's Hall of Fame, which is exciting because we're here in Annapolis right now at the Maryland Women's Hall of Fame. But she's here to talk about Gail Planque. So Jill, thank you so much for being here, and tell us all about Gail and why you nominated her.
Well, it was really my privilege to know Gail Planque. In 1997, she chaired a committee of the National Academy of Engineering. It was called the Steering Committee for the Celebration of Women in Engineering. And the reason she chaired it was because she was a member of the National Academy of Engineering. There are not very many women that are members of the National Academy. She was incredibly well respected. It's actually engineering's highest honor.
Oh my.
To be elected to the National Academy of Engineering. She was a PhD in nuclear physics. She was in health physics, and she was the first woman to be appointed. It's actually a presidential nomination and a confirmation by the U.S. Senate to be a commissioner on the United States Nuclear Regulatory Commission. And so that was before she was actually, or about the same time she made it into the National Academy of Engineering, but before I was introduced to her. And we just really had a very good bond.
So she was a woman in a STEM career before it was even called STEM.
Absolutely, it wasn't called STEM then.
Of course not. How do you think she got interested in her career in engineering?
Wow, that's a great question. I think she just had inclinations, math and science inclinations, like many of the women that I know that are in STEM careers. I'm in a STEM career.
Oh, great.
And we had math and science tendencies and leanings and capabilities, and somewhere along the way we probably accidentally got directed into that field. I know in my case it wasn't intentional. And she started with a bachelor's degree. She got her master's and her PhD after she had started working because she was dedicated to that field. And she was just a wonderful person and a wonderful friend.
Did she ever talk, besides her friends, did she ever talk about other mentors she may have had? Or was she kind of a lone wolf in her career in terms of supports?
Well, I don't know about the ones that she had, but she was determined to help other women.
So she was a mentor to many others.
She was a mentor to many others. She was very active at the Nuclear Regulatory Commission in advocating for women. I know that there was actually 2 women that were sharing a job, so she was a pioneer in that.
Oh, I see. What were some of the other things that she may have pioneered?
She was very active within the Nuclear Regulatory Commission in advocating for women, not just the part-time work, but also to eliminate any forms of discrimination, intended or unintended.
Within the federal government or within physics and other kinds of...
Probably within the United States Nuclear Regulatory Commission. And one of the things that I read when I was preparing the nomination is that she was determined that when her photo was taken, because she was going to be the only woman on the commission, that she was going to be smiling because all of the other portraits of the men were very serious portraits.
Well, since you were also her friend, tell us a fun story of something that you and Gail did together that was indicative of her personality or her passions or something that comes to mind.
Gail was a foodie. Gail loved to eat, and she and her husband at the time actually ranked. They would go to a restaurant and they would rank the food, and they would rank the service, and they would rank the wine, and I don't know what else they would rank. But they actually scored it. They had a scoring system. And they would come to Colorado.
An engineering scoreboard, I'm sorry.
Of course, of course. They would come to Colorado because she liked to ski at Aspen, or they liked to ski at Aspen. And so my husband and I would go to dinner with them, and at the end of dinner, they would actually sit there and figure out what the scoring metric was for the dinner. So she loved to ski. She loved wine, she loved to eat, and she had 2 cats, and their names were Merlot and Chardonnay.
Of course. Always that's very funny. But she also had a very serious side, I take it, because of her work at the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. But you mentioned she was mentoring other people. But if she were here today, what message might she give to the audience, but also maybe more importantly to young women about their career or about being a person in science or a STEM career and blending all those things together?
I believe that Gail would say that any of the STEM careers is a wonderful career for a woman to pursue, that there are so many opportunities. And the sky is the limit. You can shoot for the stars in a STEM career, and she would encourage every young woman to pursue a STEM career.
Jill, this is a very important day both for you and for Gail. Tell us a little bit about why you nominated her and how you feel about this nomination, of course, here at the Hall of Fame event tonight.
I am a strong advocate of telling women's stories. And I believe that if we don't tell women's stories and we don't capture them through nominations like this for the Maryland Women's Hall of Fame, that we're going to lose those stories. And it's particularly important for the women in STEM to be nominated to serve as role models for the young women, because otherwise those women tend to get lost
in the... I know that you're, of course, in your other job, you're also the CEO of the National Women's Hall of Fame in Seneca Falls. Do you know how this process compares to what you do there to have women inducted into the Hall of Fame, the National Women's Hall of Fame, or is Maryland very similar? Or do you know?
I think that in putting the nomination together, which I did for Maryland, which I've done for the National Women's Hall of Fame, I've done it for the Colorado Women's Hall of Fame, and the Delaware Women's Hall of Fame, and the New Jersey Women's Hall of Fame. I'm actually working right now on a nomination for Michigan as well, that by and large, the criteria are similar. They may not be identical. In some cases, actually, they just borrow from each other, and they are identical. But what all of the Halls of Fame want is someone who has left a legacy. There's something that we're going to be able to see, not just today and not just next year, but over time, that their actions had effects for everyone.
You mentioned role models before, and that Gail and you obviously too are a role model in your own right. What were some of the other role models that maybe impacted Gail? Were there other scientists or other women that may have been in a STEM career that she looked up to or read about or met along her travels?
Well, she worked with Dr. Shirley Ann Jackson. Dr. Jackson actually became the first African American and the first woman to chair the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, and Gail worked with Shirley. In addition, Bill Wolfe, who was the president of the National Academy of Engineering, was a very strong supporter of Gail's.
So she had male and female advocates. So are there any other stories that come to mind as we're getting ready to go into the induction ceremony about Gail, or your relationship with her?
Well, it's very important to understand that her expertise was sought nationwide, worldwide. After she finished her term on the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, she worked with the International Atomic Energy Agency in Paris. She was on boards of companies in Australia as well as in the U.S. She was a very highly respected international.
So Maryland is very lucky to have her in our Hall of Fame and as a national heroine.
Yes.
So thank you, Jill, for all your stories about Gail Planque. We'll be right back.
Thank you, Congresswoman, and congratulations. Nuclear engineer Dr. Gail Planque was a trailblazer for women throughout her adult life. When she began her career at the Atomic Energy Commission's Health and Safety Laboratory as an entry-level physicist, she was told that she shouldn't expect opportunities for advancement because she was a woman. And it was assumed that women would eventually choose family over work. But Dr. Planque defied those expectations and in due course achieved the position of director of that lab. Dr. Planque was the author of over 65 journal articles and reports contributing to national and international standards in the study of environmental radiation and nuclear facility monitoring. Her master thesis was a report on radiation-induced breast cancer from mammography. She was the first woman and the first health physicist appointed to the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission. While at the NRC, Dr. DuPont had a pivotal role in matters relating to equal employment opportunities, flex place and flex time policies, sexual harassment and management, and modeled these practices as a manager for her own staff. Among her many other accomplishments, Dr. DuPont chaired the steering committee for the National Academy of Engineering's celebration of the Women in Engineering, leading to a national effort to increase the number of women in this field. She was elected president of the American Nuclear Society and the International Nuclear Society's Council, among many other offices she held. A survivor of breast cancer, this exceedingly accomplished engineer tragically succumbed to Lyme's disease in 2010. It is to honor her memory and to commemorate her many accomplishments that we induct Dr. DuPont into the Maryland Women's Hall of Fame this evening. Dr. DuPont was nominated for this honor by Jill Teachin, Chief Executive Officer of the National Women's Hall of Fame. She has flown all the way here from Colorado just this afternoon to receive the award on behalf of Dr. DuPont, her family, friends, and colleagues. Ms. Teachin, we are honored that you have been able to join us here today. We so very much appreciate you bringing Dr. DuPont's considerable achievements to our attention so that we can enshrine her biography in the Maryland Women's Hall of Fame. I want our audience to know that you have not only traveled all this way to join us this evening, but that you made a gift of your best-selling book, Herstory, a timeline of women who changed America, for each of our honorees. Ms. Teachin, would you like to share a few words with us? My friend Gail was an amazingly accomplished woman. Her story needs to be told. In fact, we need to know and acknowledge women's stories in general. Over 90% of the references in U.S. history textbooks are to men. College freshmen can't name 20 American women through history who are not celebrities, athletes, or first ladies. Women are not paid equally, and their contributions are not valued equally. There is a huge need for the National Women's Hall of Fame, the National Women's History Project, the National Women's History Museum, and the many state organizations who honor women, including the Maryland Women's Hall of Fame and the Maryland Women's Heritage Center. We must write women into history. We must tell women's stories. We must nominate women for awards, local, state, regional, and national. We must value women's accomplishments, and critically, women must work together. In 1916, Jeanette Rankin was the first woman elected to the U.S. Congress. Before the 19th Amendment enfranchising American women was ratified in 1920, Montana and other primarily western states have given women the right to vote. Her words then are still applicable today, even with the statistics that Congresswoman Byron gave us. Jeanette Rankin said, "We're half the people. We should be half the Congress. We're not half of the population, and half of half the sky. Help me value, celebrate, and recognize women by telling women's stories, by nominating women for awards, and by writing women back into history." Thank you.
It's the Hall It's the Hall of Fame.
Welcome. My name is Jill Teachin. I'm Vice President of the Board of Directors of the National Women's Hall of Fame. And induction, every time it's held, is such a wonderful and inspiring and motivational event. So I'm delighted to be here in Seneca Falls, New York, the birthplace of women's rights and the home of the National Women's Hall of Fame. Good morning.
That's fine. I'm Kate Stevenson from the Marine Women's Heritage Center from Top of the Morning from Baltimore. Wonderful. We are so thrilled and we want to congratulate you for this award. And tell us how you were feeling with your grandchildren and children seeing what you've accomplished.
Well, I'm thrilled about that because it's really important for them to know of the courage of the women at Seneca Falls. It's the birthplace of women's rights, and I think they would take great pride in learning more about it. I am myself personally thrilled to be getting this award. I thank Beth and Beverly, co-presidents of the Hall of Fame, for this wonderful honor. And I'm pleased to be joining so many wonderful other inductees today. That's really making it even more thrilling. But as far as Maryland is concerned, that's where I was born and raised, and one of our colleagues from Maryland will be here, Congresswoman Donna Edwards. She'll be coming up. Congress has adjourned, and they're on their way. We thought there might be more activity, but
We want to invite you to the Maryland Women's Heritage Center when you get back to Maryland.
thank you for the invitation. Anytime, I'd love to do that. That's easy from D.C.
Last but certainly not least, our ninth inductee is Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Alessandro was born in Baltimore, Maryland, with a strong family tradition of public service. Her late father, Thomas Alessandro Jr., served as mayor of Baltimore for 12 years, after representing the city for 5 terms in Congress. Her brother, Thomas Alessandro III, also served as mayor of Baltimore. In 1962, she graduated from Trinity College in Washington, D.C. 1 year later, she married Paul Pelosi, a native of San Francisco, where they settled with their 5 children. As she raised her children, she worked as a volunteer for the Democratic Party and served on the San Francisco Library Commission. In 1987, she won a special election to represent the city of San Francisco in the House of Representatives. 14 years later, in 2001, her colleagues elected her House Democratic Whip and then House Democratic Leader in 2002, making her the first woman to hold both positions. Finally breaking the Congress, Nancy Pelosi was elected by her colleagues to serve as the first woman Speaker of the House from 2007 to 2011. During her many years of service, she has worked tirelessly to increase the number of women in public service.
They worked so hard. They worked so hard to get women to have the right to vote. In fact, when women got the right to vote, finally, decades later, the newspapers reported women given the right to vote. Now, that wasn't what happened. Women fought and marched and sacrificed, or women demanded it, and then women got the right to vote, but nobody gave it to women. And it was a tremendous victory for America, not just women, but for America. And then decades later, we had women in the workforce, World War II, Rosie the River, and so that was new. All these women leaving home to go to work. That was good. And then we had the higher education of women, women in professions who were choosing to stay home or having whatever job they wanted, and perhaps at the professional level. But the missing link in all of that was affordable, quality child care. Affordable childcare. So our observance of the 165th anniversary of the Seneca Falls Convention is this initiative, One Woman Succeed, America Succeeds, and taking us all to the next step. To do this, we need the outside organization to make it happen. So that's on the policy side. It's pretty help women free to follow their passion in their profession or stay home, whatever it is. But they have those options. And it's good for them too. It's good for families. On the political side, again, if we're going to make change, instead of electing 10 more women, 10 more women, whatever it is, and we're very proud of the way our numbers have increased, we must change the environment. And I promise you this, if you reduce the role of women in politics and increase the level of civility in politics, you will have many more women. If you do both, we'll be able to see our country benefit from women in our national security, women in our economic security, women in the academic world, the athletic world, you name it, every place. This will be the most wholesome and successful thing we can do for American competitiveness. And so we have instituted a DARE on this reducing the role of money, disclose where this money comes from, amend the Constitution to overturn Citizens United, reform our system, the power of small donors in the system, and empower, remove obstacles of participation to voting for the American people. If we are fighting for that DARE, and across the country, people know that it has to be done, and when it's done, more women, more minorities, more young people will have more opportunity to serve our country in public office. And by the way, I'm very proud that these women here today are part of the House Democratic Caucus is over 50% women, minorities, and LGBT people ask me why do you do this? How do you have so much energy to do this all the time? The only reason I ever ran for public office in the first place was because being a mom, seeing all the love and attention and opportunity that my children, our relatives, all the rest of children around us have, and realizing that 1 in 5 children in America lives in poverty, it was a completely intolerable, and has been a completely intolerable idea to me. Not to mention children throughout the world by incident of birth who have so many needs that are not being attended to. So that's why when I accepted the gavel to be Speaker of the House, I invited the children to come up because I want to accept the gavel on behalf of all of America's children and beyond. And so, in accepting this wonderful award, I want my colleagues to come out so I can accept the award. And come on, everybody, and they will be again. There are 9 of us. Can you imagine that there are 9 of us from California? We have Congresswoman Hannah Eshker, champion on breast cancer. Susie Davis, a champion for women in breast cancer. Older women and Medicare and Social Security, Janet Johnson, and Director of Illinois, Jack Spear, our champion for fighting sexual abuse in the military, and now, as I mentioned, girls of all, she's the godmother of all.
Let me start. She was the first performer. Of New Hampshire, and Jill was a pre-existing medical condition. It's not just about women for women, it's about women being respected as well as men being respected. It's about diversity of opinion. It's about changing the environment. So these women are there to make it happen. We want their numbers to grow and increase. I wanted to be here to honor the Women's Hall of Fame. I said that to you, what you are doing is important by recognizing women and by paying their respects to the other 100